second panel on the FixedOPS Institute today, we have a great lineup of specialists who will elaborate on bridging the divide between departments in the dealership through the sub-theme of encouraging collaboration through trust, feedback, and celebrating wins. Let me introduce you to our panel experts. We have Shawn Butler, the FixedOPS leader of the Umansky Auto Group, John Frazier, the service director at Woody Anderson Ford, and Chris McPhillips, the VP of Fixed Operations for Sutherland Automotive. Welcome to the FixedOPS Institute, guys.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, Shawn, let's start with you, and let's start with the issues. So, as a root cause, what squashes collaboration and feeds problems of miscommunication in the dealership?
Well, I think a lack of transparency a lot of times, because for years it's always been, you have the front of the house and the back of the house is what they referred to it. So that automatically created a divide right there out of the get-go. If I was going to design a dealership, it'd be all service up front and the sales would be out back because they're going to come looking for a car anyway, you know. But it's mainly about communication and transparency. I'm an advocate for actually tying all the managers together on a pay plan. You don't see it very often, but then everybody's heavily involved and cares about the other departments. I preach it every time we have a cookout that it takes the parts, it takes the service, it takes new cars, and it takes used cars all humming together in harmony to be successful.
Yeah, good point. I mean, we verbally set it up that way from the beginning. What are your thoughts, Chris?
So coming from the front end, when I take on a store, I immediately coach that unless they sell a car, we don't have a customer. So the importance of them selling cars is just as important as us servicing the vehicle. So we really need to, I shouldn't say like cater, but really kind of cater to that guest at the time of purchase and be thankful they purchased our brand because that's our future business.
And how about you, John? Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, and going off what Chris said, in sales, it's said that, or in service, it's said that service sells the next car. And we have to make sure that everybody, whether it's technician, parts person, which those two positions can often think they're behind the scenes and they have no direct effect on the customer. They have to know that tied to the car and tied to that part is a customer, and it's not just a matter of the service manager or the service advisor that has to deal with that customer face to face. We all indirectly or directly affect the customer, and we all have to be there for one common cause, one common goal.
So, Shawn, I'll start with you again. And my question is, do you need to tear down walls and buy a ping pong table to force collaboration? How do we nurture a culture open to communicating? Do we need to make a physical space to make it work?
That could be I've experienced that in the past where we have actually group meetings, if you will, that involves all the managers from all the departments, kind of like a weekly review of your running statement, how each department's doing. But for the most part, that starts at the top, right? So if your ownership or your general manager is not encouraging the collaboration, then you have to lead up the chain of command. You have to kind of force that collaboration and mainly stay in a lot of contact. It's really not that hard. Some places it's really that solid wall like you're talking about. Fortunately, I haven't really worked in any of those places.
Okay. How about you, John? Do we need a ping pong room to force collaboration?
No, it does. Like Shawn said, it starts at the top, and there has to be clear communication and clear transparency across the department that may be divided by a physical wall for them to understand our business is built around us relying on each other. As service advisors, we need parts, we need technicians, we need the sales department. And then you could go around each of the departments. We all need one another. It's vital to our survival as a team, as a dealership. And it's needed for us to serve the customer at a certain level. I believe it just has to start at the top. And once you get the leaders of those departments in sync and they set those expectations, those requirements for their people to work together with one another, I don't believe a ping pong table or foosball or any of that's needed.
And what are your thoughts, Chris?
I just think I love the yes, I can mentality and kind of take the word I can't or no away from the service department in regards to sales or guests that come in. So it's, yes, I can, or give me a moment, let's see what I can get figured out, instead of just no, or we can't do that. It's such a negative effect. So the sales department comes out and asks for something, we're like, no, we're not going to do that. It's like, hold on. Yes, we can. Let's just get it figured out together, because the end result is the guest. It's not the sales department or the service department. It's the guest that we're trying to wow or get something handled for. So just take away the negativity of the negative words.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I'll start with you again, Chris. What do we need to do not only to receive honest feedback from our staff, but also to accept what sometimes may be criticism as leaders?
I think involve them in the decision-making process. Don't make it seem as if you're the dictator of the service department or the parts department. Involve them. Say, hey, I'm seeing this. I would like to try this. Can I get some feedback on ways that it might work? And then a collaboration of all your department, come up with some sort of new process, have it written down, and then shared so everybody's on the same page. I feel when managers just tell people what they're going to do and don't share, you probably not even get the best opinion of how to handle something, because it's only your opinion when you might have 10 other opinions that might gel or be better than just yours.
And what do you think, John? How do we get honest feedback from our staff?
It goes back to starting with, setting clear expectations, especially with new hires. Anytime I walk into a pre-existing scenario with employees that are already there, or I'm hiring someone, I always ensure that I have a meeting with them about, what my expectations are for their role, for the department. And in that conversation somewhere, I'll always tell my team, one by one, or even in a group, one of my biggest expectations is for you to be okay with telling me I've messed up something. Just because I'm the manager, just because I'm the leader, doesn't mean that I'm perfect. There are going to be times that I may make a mistake, and I want you to feel comfortable with saying, hey, John, listen, I don't agree with that. And I said, it's okay to not agree. And equally, I'll come to you and I say, hey, maybe this isn't right. Let's do it this way or that way. I'm completely aware that there are many routes that we can take to get to a destination. And, as leaders, we have to be okay with our team. Many pieces of our team, some may take, we may take the straightest, most narrow route in our mind, but some of our team may take little shortcuts, and maybe they found a quicker way to do something, or something like that. But you may find your team sometimes, some people taking a really long detour around, and they rarely make it to the destination. And in those times, we have to be clear with one another that somebody's going to step in and say, hey, let's reel it in, let's get it back over this way. So I think it's setting an expectation that it's okay that we communicate when we're falling off the tracks, and how to get back on.
What are your thoughts, Shawn? How do we get that honest feedback from our staff?
I think it's, like these gentlemen were saying, it's about the communication and open lines, right? Setting the expectations and holding each other accountable, right? If we're all on the same page and we're all sharing the same vision and goal, it's okay if this person doesn't feel like that's going correct, or this person has this other opinion. As long as we're talking about it, we can work through it. It's when people quit communicating that things start to go sideways.
And let's see, this time I'll start with you, John. How does trust, transparency, and competency fit into the needs of a collaborative environment?
I think it's empowering your people. One of the biggest things I preach with my team is, listen, when it comes to the guest experience, and that's what we're all talking about, the end result, and the what we do through all these things we're speaking of affect the guest experience. I tell them that, listen, I would rather you come to me and say, hey, I had to do this to take care of so-and-so. I had to do this because I felt it was right. Rather than coming to me all the time to ask, hey, can I do this to take care of the customer? As leaders, it's important that we in our delegation of tasks and roles throughout our department that we empower our people. And in that creates competency and confidence, and it allows our people to have some freedom in what they do. You know, I saw a post on LinkedIn the other day, and it was a guy that was comparing leadership to holding a bird. You know, if you hold a bird too tightly, you hurt it. And if you completely let it go, it flies away. You know, we have to have that balance as leaders, that we hold on to our team just right, so that they can work and so that they can flourish. But also too, that they don't get lost in the chaos of our business, you know, and fly away. So I believe it's empowering our team to do what we've hired them to do.
Yeah, it's a great metaphor of holding a bird. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's, you know, a privilege to be able to work as a service advisor. For one, the guest is coming to you because you're the expert. As if I was called the AC guy out, or I would go to a nice restaurant. You know, I want that gentleman to explain the steak to me, why it's aged, the benefit of eating it, and what it's going to taste like, you know, peppercorn crushed. So when you pull in the service drive, to have your team actually know the product, be able to present it in such a confident manner that it makes the guests feel good about getting their car serviced with you, regardless of the price. And then when the additional service request does come up, share every little bit. Like, don't sugarcoat and just sell the one job and they leave with, you know, 10 other repairs not done. Be confident that you chose the professional, which is me. You brought your car here. Let's get this figured out. I'm here to help. And some guests or some advisors, I feel they're scared or timid, or they really don't treat it like a career. They think I'm just a service advisor. No, you're the professional that the guest chose to visit because they want to get educated on their vehicle. So always be transparent and always be upfront.
Yeah. How about you, Shawn? What do you think about trust, transparency, and competency?
Well, I'm in agreement with these fellows. One thing that we always do is, one thing I found is usually empowerment is lacking when you walk into a broken situation or something like it's because people haven't been encouraged to grow, and therefore they haven't been empowered. An example, at the Honda dealership where I'm sitting right now this morning, these guys didn't even know you could do a reverse ticket. That's how micromanaging it was to give somebody a refund. You had to print out a letter, turn it into the office. No, just create a reverse ticket and credit their card back right away if you made a mistake. Why are we going to go through all of that? Simple things like that, you know, always make a huge difference and an impact. And one thing that I always believe is criticizing in private or correcting in private and celebrating in public, right? Praise in public. Those are huge to give people that confidence. And we want them to make decisions. As long as you err on the side of the customer, you will never, ever get in trouble with me. Now, we may coach how I would have handled it differently, but you won't hear me going, oh my God, no, the sky's falling, now we're going to die. No, not at all. Take care of the customer first.
I really like that, Shawn. So my next question is, I'll throw it to you, Shawn. How important is it to celebrate successes? And you touched on this a tiny bit when you foster collaboration in the department. So how do we celebrate people's successes?
Right. Well, you know, one thing that I know, Chris and John, I know they know that food brings people together, right? And if you've seen me on LinkedIn, we usually grill out about once a month at the different locations. And it's not for, because, you know, we use it as the guise of, hey, we're celebrating and we had a great month, or this tech became a master tech. It's really just about bringing everybody together and keeping those open lines and understanding that the sales department is just as important as the parts department. The parts department is just as important as the advisors, because if everybody's not in sync, you're going to have disharmony in the dealership, and eventually it's going to fall one way or the other. You know, it goes back around to saying, well, like Chris said, if we don't sell any cars, we're not creating future customers. If we're not trying to retain the used cars, then we're giving away business to somebody else as well. We have to find ways. It's about retention and transparency and collaboration and understanding the focus of where we're headed as a store, right? So every time the store breaks a gross profit record, we celebrate, right? Extra hard. We celebrate every month, but like every month it's between the sales and service and parts. We have kind of like I have an ongoing $100 a month bet. with the sales managers up front on who's going to do the most gross every month. I haven't paid them yet.
Well, how about you, John? How do you guys celebrate success?
I'm on the same lines as Shawn. Anytime we can find a good excuse to gather around the table and eat, that's a great way to celebrate it. There's just something about when you're breaking bread with one another, whether it's your family, whether it's friends, whether it's your coworkers. There's this a level of vulnerability. There's this understanding that, hey, outside of this chaotic business we've chose to work in, there's a level of humanness inside of all of this, and at a dinner table, that's how people, that's how you build relationships and you get to know one another. For me, in addition to those things, I like celebrating the little things. I'm always walking about the dealership and walking about the department, and it's often I'll walk around with a stack of gift cards, just $10 gift cards to different restaurants or Starbucks or whatever, and I like to reward people unexpectedly, seeing the outstanding interaction between an advisor or a customer, or seeing that parts person take the extra step and pick up some trash that may have fell out the dumpster, just seeing these little things that they do that go unnoticed, and then just walking up to them and acknowledging those things, with a small gift. I like doing things like that and recognizing success and wins in that way.
That's great. How about you, Chris?
Yeah, it's a little bit different for me, I guess, because the stores are so far apart. But so on a daily basis, I'll check either surveys or go through the ROs that were written up during the day, and I'll screenshot to the manager or to that advisor, like, hey, great job on this ticket. Yesterday, for example, Jarrell and Nick at one of our stores had an amazing day. So I sent them a quick message, around 4 or 5 o'clock. Hey, you guys crushed it today. Thank you. Just to know that I'm watching and that I see all the little things that they're doing. We have an advisor at Subaru named Rita. She always gets little remarks from Subaru customers, so we screenshot that and we'll send an email to everybody and share it. So just from a distance, let them know that I'm still involved and I still appreciate them and see the small things they're doing. But John's idea, if I were to go to stores with gift cards, that'd be pretty cool too. So thank you for that, that little tidbit.
Yeah, we're all learning today. It sounds like really fun, to be quite honest.
Yes.
My next question is about consistency. So how can we be consistent in our collaboration efforts, and how important is consistency? And you guys touched on this a little bit, but we'll face it head on. And Shawn, why don't you start us out?
Consistency in our processes is paramount, right? So it's like a sales to service handoff, and like the owners meetings that we used to have all the time before, pre 2020, right? And then they've kind of gotten away from that, and I'm trying to bring those things back because we want everybody to feel comfortable with everybody. I want every technician to know every salesperson. I want every salesperson to know every advisor. The parts people aren't hiding out back. I bring them out front. I got one of them positioned in the shop, right? So the techs don't have to leave their bays. But a consistent process is the key to long-term sustainability, no matter what process that is.
Yeah. And how do you feel about it, Chris?
Yeah, so I really don't have offices when I travel to the stores. My office is in the middle of the service drive, typically with my laptop. So I think them seeing me like wrap a car, park a car, or greet a guest, or help with an advisor, they kind of understand that there is a consistent process that happens all the time with the Sutherland group. And when they see me doing the process, it lets them know that it's just not words, that all members of our team, need to engage the guests, meet them at the car, protect the car. So wherever I go, I'm literally in the service drive. So I think the stores know that consistency is very important with me. If I'm willing to do it, then they're going to do it.
And what about you, John? How do you show consistency?
Consistency in this business is tough. I've often said the only consistent in this business is inconsistency. There's with turnover and changes with the industry itself. It's a business that we live in that changes almost daily with technology, and the demands of our customers and the needs of our customers are changing all the time. So staying in tune with those things are super important in order for us to deliver the proper guest experience. And I believe it goes all the way back to hiring, and make sure that you're hiring the right people that can adapt to these changes and to overcome these changes and to remain consistent in the processes that we train. And that's the other big thing, is making sure that we train to consistency. Like Chris had used earlier, the example of a steak at a restaurant. Restaurants that deliver great meals, that deliver great steaks, they do one thing very well. They're consistent in how they deliver that food, how they prepare that food. And in order for us to deliver that top-notch, just perfect guest experience every time, it requires consistency, which starts at hiring and continues through training and continues through leadership.
Absolutely. So my last question, Shawn, I'll start you out once more. What are some real world examples of collaborative solutions that you found work well in the dealership?
That's kind of tough, because like everybody knows, it changes from day to day. I think that everybody just at the end of the day has to feel comfortable with going to the other person, no matter what department, no matter who it is, and asking for help, right? Let them know that it's okay if you don't know. Right? I don't know. I call Chris, I call Frazier. I've called these guys when I don't know, because, it helps to have people smarter than you, or that are more maybe focused in a certain area. It's okay to lean to their expertise. And we have to understand, I think some people get caught up on being the smartest person in the room, and therefore they become closed-minded and unwilling to grow. And then that festers and causes a problem. If everybody, like John said, Chris said, I'm out here, I'm the best porter we got every morning, right? I'm bagging, tagging, greeting customers, parking, hustling back, but I enjoy doing that and setting that example. When I like to use the bottle of water comparison, right? So at Walmart, it's 50 cents for a bottle. It's $2 out of a machine. It's $4 at your local pool, $6 at the movie, and $10 at a resort. The water never changed. What changed was its location and the level of service that went along with that bottle of water. So I encourage my people to be the $10 bottle of water.
Yeah, that's a great metaphor. And Chris, how about you? Can you share with us any real world examples of collaborative solutions that you found work well?
Yeah, so I think right now with the sales department in general, they're in a need for used cars. So there's a large effort put on purchasing guest vehicles out of the service drive. So we've agreed, the sales department, we even have QR codes on our shuttle vans. We've got banners in the service drive. So we're really inviting the sales associates to have that opportunity, in a controlled manner, scripted, but inviting them to come in the drive, meet our guests, and have the opportunity to purchase their vehicle, and in hopes, they'll purchase another vehicle from us. So I think bigger than ever right now, that effort, at least that I'm seeing, to purchase cars is happening, and it's really coming from the service drive a lot. I'm not sure if you guys are seeing that, but we see it a lot of our stores.
John, how about you? Anything you could share with our audience about how you found collaborative solutions?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite that just gets everybody involved and together, and it's kind of an old school thought, and a lot of dealers don't do anymore, but it's owners clinics. It's reconnect visits. When you can get the customer back in the store post such a celebratory event or an exciting event. For most, buying a car and getting into a new car is a big deal. And if you can get that customer back into the store and get everyone involved, from the technician to the parts person to the salesperson to the service advisors, you get them there and you get them around these customers that are excited about their new car purchase and that are happy to come back to the dealer because, post a car purchase, normally, if the customer's coming back, it's not a happy event. Hey, my car's broke or I'm having problems with it. But if you can get that customer back into the the dealership for this visit, and then get everybody involved in that excitement. You begin to break down those walls that we started this conversation about. You begin to break down these divisions in the dealership, and you begin to everybody from parts to service to the shop to sales, they start connecting the dots, and they realize that once they connect them all, it's really seen through an owner's clinic that, hey, we all have a big effect on the guest experience, on the purchase of this car. So I like owner clinics as an example to bring everybody together.
Well, that's excellent. You guys were straight to the point and succinct today. So great speaking with all of you. I've learned so much, and I'm sure that our audience has too. Speaking of our audience, stay tuned. We discuss how technology can be a useful tool in bridging the divide between departments with Russell B. Hill, Art Shaw, and Shawn Armour coming up next.